This is COMMpact, your weekly dose of positivity amidst negativity, giving you a weekly informative and concise talk about important issues that impact our lives, like health, climate, technology, and breakthroughs. We will break down the complicated and abstract to practical and helpful sound bites. This is communication briefs that create an impact. Here's our host for this episode, Nima Sanchez.
Hello, everyone. Good day to all of you. You are watching COMMpact, your weekly dose of positivity amidst negativity. The challenges brought about by COVID-19 pandemic has an unprecedented impact in our lives. For a while, the world went on a standstill and we had to adapt to the new normal. Health concerns, socio-economic woes, immobility, social isolation, prevailing fear, and uncertainty are taking quite a toll on our mental health. It is important to realize that we are all in this together and you are not alone with what you feel. We are all struggling in our own ways and in our own worlds to make sense of this pandemic. The silver lining is we can do something to help ourselves. There are choices that can be made to help us come out of this rut that we are in.
COVID has taken a toll in our plans. Everything came into a halt and there seems to be no way out of the dangers to our mortality, to our sanity. What will happen in the next years to come? How do we survive the unknown? How do we deal?
No, the pandemic has had all our nerves on the edge, and as a parent, I think it's harder for me to cope with the situation because it's not only my health that I have to worry about. No, I have to make sure that my little one stays healthy. And as a working mom, I encounter different people every day, and I've already tested positive once. My mental health was at its worst and my anxiety level was at its highest. But thankfully, no one in the family got the virus. But what if one day that won't be the case anymore? What if my child gets the virus?
Listen, COVID-19 has prompted many schools to shut down. But that is not the case in the Philippines. Some parts of the country like Davao City, Department of Education Region 11 has issued a memo allowing selected schools to conduct partial face-to-face classes in the midst of an alert level 3 status. I am a public school teacher. The fear to be contaminated is there. What about the quality of life? What about our students, our family, us teachers? The least we can do is to pray harder, hoping for better and brighter days to come.
This COVID-19 pandemic, everyone are requested to stay at home. But this is impossible for us field workers who are expected to fulfill the duty on field. This is our bread and butter. Behind the mask that I wear every day is the fear that anytime I can be infected by the virus. There are many times that I'm afraid to go home because I might be carrying the virus. I wish a safe home for our family during this time. But aside from me, we have 3 family members in and out at home every day. Where is the safe space?
2020. We thought we had it worse that year. But 2021 came and it surprised us big time. The heaviest rain poured right in front of us. We did not only battle against the pandemic, but the loss of a family member after another. It was the year of heavy downpour of tears and heartbreaks to all of our family members.
I feel dog-tired, but the moment I lie on my bed, I could not sleep. And if I do get to sleep, I know that it's not quality sleep because I still feel very tired the morning after. There are times when I wake up in the wee hours of the morning and automatically check on my family to see if they're okay. I don't think I have had a restful sleep after we had been quarantined for COVID-19.
Our guest for today is a psychology expert. She is an academician in a Philippine university setting with a 19-year work experience in education and counseling of adult students. A clinician with a 16-year experience of counseling and psychotherapy, and an international published author. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Liza Anna Marte-Gayoles. She will discuss with us practical and healthy ways to cope with all these big emotions that will help us navigate the new normal during this pandemic. Dr. Gayoles?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. And so I was invited by my dear friends to discuss on the practical and healthy ways to cope with, the emotions that we are experiencing throughout this pandemic of ours. So I was looking over here, and then there are these emotions that were flashed in front of us. We have uncertainty, we have fear, we have anxiety, and then we have grief, depression, and insomnia. So how do we cope with these strong emotions, as you guys have mentioned it, strong emotions? So when we look at this, we have to always remember that these are stressor-related disorders. No, emotions rather. Stressor-related emotions. So what is our stressor? In the first place, what do we mean by a stressor? So a stressor is a situation that will trigger physical and emotional reactions. So again, we have there the term emotions. So our emotional reactions are brought about by stressors. And stressors can be, when you look at stress, it can be both positive and negative. So I mentioned stress. What is stress? It is now our body's reaction to the response of environmental demands. So right now, what is the biggest stressor that we are actually, all of us, not only me, not only you, it's really global. And what is this stressor that is affecting us? It is now the COVID-19 pandemic. So when we look at the COVID-19 pandemic, what we think now is, what are the situations that will actually bring about stress? And so these are situations that are one, they are unpredictable, they are uncontrollable, and the magic word there, uncertain. So when we are faced now with a situation that we feel that is so, what is that certain here now? So we will now experience what we call acute responses to stress. And I want to tie those to the strong emotions that a lot of us now are actually experiencing. So what are the acute responses to stress? And this is really based, when we said stressor related, it is now based on, it is a reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic. So it will affect our thoughts. What about our thoughts? We might have problems remembering, problems concentrating, and problems in, dealing with our problems, problem solving. And what else? Feelings. And this is where our emotions really come out. It will affect our emotions like what? Anxiety, depression. We have there our fear, okay? And we also have what? Irritability. We forget that after we experience these emotions, we have now anger, and then after that we get so tired, so there is fatigue there. And what are the behavior? So we tend to become withdrawn, we become tearful and unmotivated. And another thing that we look into are the physical the physical symptoms. And these now include what? The palpitation of our heart. We say there is the nausea and the headaches. So when I was asked, let's discuss about how do we now manage these reactions because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So with the COVID-19 pandemic, what is affected really is our mental health. And mental health is considered as the third wave of the COVID-19 pandemic. The first wave had to do with physical health crisis. The second wave had to do with economic crisis because of the lockdown. And the third wave is now what we are focusing on is the mental health crisis that is affecting almost everyone. And what are the three how to call this, these three factors, or three aspects rather? Three aspects. We now have their stress, we have their anxiety, and we have their depression. But we have to remember these three factors, these three aspects, that what I call the sadness, stress, anxiety, and depression, is actually, how to call this? It is because of us being humans, it is indigenous to us being humans. It is indigenous to the human species. But the key there is, how do we address these? All our stress, our anxiety, and our depression. And the magic word there, some people would say, oh, it's self-care. Yes, it is self-care. Specifically, we call it stress management. And so how do we manage the reactions that we have because of the COVID-19 pandemic? I call them the 5 A's of stress management. The first is avoid unnecessary stress. If you have to say no, say no. And then avoid people that we always say, avoid people who are toxic. The second is alter the situation. How do we alter the situation? What do you need to do? You might have to compromise. You have to be more assertive. You have to manage your time better. What is now the third A of stress management? It is to adapt to the stressor. And this topic here, the number 3, is probably another topic that we can talk about when we're talking about stress management. And when we adapt, what are we doing now? We are trying now to adjust to the situation, because looking at the big picture, we can't change what's happening. So we just have to adopt. And then the third there is accept the things that you cannot change. That is one thing that I always tell people who ask me, how do I manage my stress? Look at there's always two sides up to a coin, so always look at both sides. Share your feelings. And that's what's very important. And because we say the greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose to choose one thought over the other. If our perception is that we will find this so difficult, and that's how we're going to feel. And that's why I mentioned all 4 A's. Now what is the fifth A? The fifth A of stress managing is adopting a healthy lifestyle. And what is included here? Eat a healthy diet. Exercise regularly, get enough sleep, and set aside a time for relaxation. That is very important when we're talking about stress management, especially in the time of COVID-19. So thank you very much for asking me how we can cope in a healthy manner.
Thank you, Dr. Gayoles, for sharing with us your expertise today. Indeed, that is a lot to think about. Various concerns arose in the past years. There are still breakthroughs happening in the medical and technological fields amidst the backdrop of this pandemic. The climate change we experience continues to haunt us, but it is our mental health that keeps us on survival mode, and that we can manage and pull through these challenges. Once again, this has been another episode of COMMpact, your weekly dose of positivity amidst negativity. This has been Nima Sanchez, reminding you that of all the affairs, communication is the most wonderful. Stay tuned for next week.